Hi, this is the regular monthly meeting of the Dighton Development and Industrial Commission. I have 6:01. I'd like to call the meeting to order. This meeting is being recorded and will be available for replay on the Town of Dighton YouTube channel and on Channel 9 Local Access. If you could all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I'm old business, new business, they kind of blend together. So under new business, as an next agenda item, I was supposed to be presenting our suggestions for revisions to the home business bylaws to our last planning board meeting, which was last week. But as it turned out, two members were away. I was the one presenting, I'm a member. Joe's heard it before, he's a member. So we have been all for the benefit of one person. So we've rescheduled it now till August. So I'll be presenting now on the August agenda. And depending upon their take on it, whether they support it, like to revise it a little bit, if they're in general behind it, that still gives them time to get it on the special town warrant in November if they support it. So we haven't really talked about what happens if they don't support it, like they flat out don't want to do it. We could propose it on our own as a citizen petition, but let's see what they think first, and then we can decide what we want to do from there. So the next is an update on the business spotlight interviews. Paul's not here tonight. So we did post on the town's Facebook page, and I reposted on several of the other town Facebook pages a couple weeks ago, again yesterday, about the interview he did with the town assessor, the Board of Assessors. On Facebook, there was no feedback whatsoever. John liked it. I liked it.
I didn't even notice it.
Okay, so
it was on Positively Dighton.
It was on a couple sites, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, but if you look at the YouTube channel, there was like close to 70 people who watched it, which is really good for our Spotlight channel. So people are watching it. They may not be reaching out for feedback or questions. And I haven't checked with the assessors to see if it's generated any questions to them. But so, I mean, it's good information anyway. And
70 views is good, actually,
yeah,
right?
Right. Yeah.
Dighton? Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. The next was to discuss, review, and act on any additional 24 plans. This is kind of a catch-all because we have a litany of things that we've been talking about. But the first one was a representative from the Taunton Area Chamber of Commerce. As I said before, John's going to be leaving us at the end of the year. And it's horrible. So he's moving on to bigger and better things. Like the O'Connor Museum is a big part of your new.
It is a big part, but my tenure at the chamber is ending. And I'm here really representing the chamber. So that's the issue, right? Yeah. So then I've talked to Dan and said, let's get with Chris, the president of the chamber, to see who might replace me.
Yeah. So I did reach out to her. She said that really they don't have anybody at the moment, that John was kind of in a unique position because he was a member of the board. He has background in Dighton. John suggested that if we wanted to, or Chris suggested actually, the president of the chamber too, if we want to look through their directory and see what Dighton businesses are members of the chamber, we can do that. Mm-hmm. The other is we might want to rethink the position because it was initially, it's a representative from the Chamber of Commerce, which is nice to have, but maybe if it's kind of we're in a kind of a stretch to find somebody to fit that particular role, we might want to rethink it. And personally, I think our biggest gap right now in terms of our collective skill sets is somebody who can, with a background of like reaching out to commercial investors, like, you know, who are the contacts? What are the groups you need to get in front of? How do you go about this? I just don't have that background personally, you know, nor am I like I'm way too introverted to be the guy out there sticking his hand in somebody's face and introducing myself. It's like the worst thing in the world for me. But, so I think we've talked about this before, like in the past 2 years since we kind of got restarted. We've been doing this kind of in a step approach, which is, first we started to try to get a rapport with the town. We did the survey, we got their feedback. Then we tried to get a rapport with the local businesses. We started doing the directory, the spotlight interviews, twice participated with the chamber in networking events, that sort of thing. Third, which I think we're kind of in the middle now, is laying the groundwork for the town to smooth out how it interacts with businesses and to be more business friendly. We've been talking about things like the home-based business bylaw, the board of assessors doing like a minimum exemption on personal property tax for like small businesses. If your total valuation is less than $5,000, it's a wash, that kind of thing. Talking about, in general, we'd like the planning board to revisit zoning. That's on their agenda though. Revising the permitting guidelines, getting all the boards and committees to use the permitting software. So a lot of these are things completely outside of us, but we can, just utilize. Yeah, we can work with them and make suggestions, and a lot of those are making progress. Mike did a great job in pushing a lot of those things forward. So we'll see how if that continues. But then the fourth one, which I think is kind of our next step, working kind of in that middle one there, is the marketing. So, I've shown the draft of the trifold. I was hoping to have another updated draft, but the person I'm working with wasn't able to turn it around in time, but maybe the next meeting I will. We have a bunch of stock video footage that we can use for video marketing. But that's where that missing skill set is. Some of what you have done for us, like Gotham, you reached out cold to Gotham Greens and rather successfully, but having somebody who could, guide us or help do that kind of thing.
Well, I'm not dying.
No.
So I'm not sure how that would work. If you ever needed my help,
Right.
I'd always be happy to help. You know
Right.
what I mean?
But we're just talking about like, if we have a backfill position, what kind of skills would be helpful to the board or to the committee? So I think person who could attend to be a backfill would be with that kind of skills would be good. I know who can think about who, if anybody jumps to your mind about in town or in the region, just like, you're representing Taunton. And we have talked before about how, Dighton businesses aren't an island. Their customers, their supplier bases, it's regional. It's the greater Taunton area for the most part, or even southeastern Mass, northern Rhode Island. So, having somebody who's not specifically in Dighton helping the Dighton businesses is not, not uncalled for, because the Dighton businesses are part of that greater network. So we can think about it. But unfortunately, right now, the chamber didn't have any particular guidance on a replacement. So,
I'm glad that John said that he would be willing to help. Could we have that in writing?
in case right now. So I did mention about the assessors and that exemption, and at the last meeting, you had asked that I send them an email because we haven't heard any more from them about. They mentioned it once, like, yeah, we'll think about that, but then no more word. So even when I asked the town assessor, she's like, I don't know, they haven't brought it up again. So I was going to write that email, but I was hoping to get two things from Paul before I did, or at least maybe he can help me with them. One is, what is the average personal property for small businesses? I mean, we've got like Dighton Power and, the other big places that are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in personal property taxes. But for the small businesses, what is the average bill? Is it like less than $100, kind of thing.
Well, I don't know if that's just based on their equipment,
Not the land or the building, just their equipment.
just their equipment. I mean, even the landscaping business. A lawnmower today for commercial use is $15,000 to $20,000, it's crazy. It's out there. So
So, yeah, and I was hoping Paul could pull out the tax records and say, this is the average. But then the other thing is, as Paul will tell you, it's not free to send out a bill. Not only is there the mailing and the prep time, but then you've got the occasional collection notices and you got to send registered mail. And so if you could help us say, what's the average cost of actually creating a bill for tax purposes for this? And then you can say, here's what they pay on average, here's the cost of it. Maybe there's like some sweet spot where really the town doesn't gain or lose anything by having that exemption. It's, whatever it is, $2,000, $3,000, or some magic number where it costs us just as much to get what we're getting back. And why make people pay up just for the sake of, the town, spending money to make it happen. So when he gets back, I'll ask him about that. I know Woody said, this was years ago when he was renting from you, but it would get like an $8 tax bill, for the barber shop.
no, I was actually paying.
Oh, you would get, commercial, but he would get a personal property tax.
Oh, Woody was paying. Yeah, but I was
He said
paying.
I would get an $8 bill.
The property tax that I was paying was an additional $300.
Right, yeah,
Just because he was running a business
Right.
out of it.
right. Well,
I
how much
just
did it
raised the
cost the
rent
town
back.
to create a check, a
That'd be
bill for
easy
$8?
thing we
Yeah.
The next thing we had talked about was the quarterly business owners event, which we keep small. It'd be nice if we could have like food and beverages and, maybe it's a breakfast kind of thing. So it's like weekends, early mornings, and that might be a way of enticing people to come. We haven't gotten a lot of participation in those kind of things in the past, but I still think it's important to keep the communication out there and make it available. The big thing about doing things like that would be between a venue, and we may be able to find, the pavilion, if the Lions would let us use it, good weather and inexpensive or free venue, would be food, which I don't think we have in our budget to really cover. And whether it was Barbara or somebody else at the last meeting mentioned about getting sponsors. So in my mind, there was like bells were going off about the town of Dighton, it's a municipality, it's a government. People are sponsoring an event. I just wanted to make it clear. So I did actually call the state ethics hotline just to get guidance. And so what they said was what the town absolutely cannot do is endorse or give preferential treatment to one business over another. So you can have sponsors for an event as long as the town, one, makes it clear that that doesn't mean you're endorsing them by any way. Two, it has to be a level playing field. So anybody could be, you just have to broadcast that you're looking for sponsors. You can't go to cherry picking sponsors. Then you're getting one person preference over another. And three, you really ideally should have something in writing publicly available that shows what are the guidelines for being a sponsor, which this committee could do. It doesn't have to be like a town-wide. But, can I give you $1 and now come in and set up, take up half the room with my wares? Is there a minimum? Does it have to be at least $50, $100 to be a sponsor? What do I get if I'm a sponsor? Can I set up a table? Can I just hand out brochures? All those things so that it's really clear to people how we go about it and what they can do as a sponsor. So, but that we can have them, I think is good. And that would cover our costs. If we can get some people to sponsor it.
If you're thinking breakfast, would you be able to maybe, now I know you can't target a specific business, so this
Right.
may be a little bit tough, but I was thinking could you go to a Dunkin' Donuts or something like that and say, would you be willing to donate coffee and donuts, for this event?
Um, he pretty much said you can't go around cherry picking.
Yeah, that's interesting.
What I was thinking might work, and this would be for good weather only, but maybe we could do it like in spring, summer, fall, is if the Lions were amenable, one, using their pavilion, probably would let us use it with a no cost or minimal fee. And two, they're often out there for events selling food. So if we actually hired them to cook the breakfast, it's a fundraiser for them at the same time as us, so it's freshly made, it's right there, it's the local Dighton's.
What kind of food? do they
Just
have?
eggs and bacon and breakfast stuff. And
They have the facility.
they have grills, yeah, and cooking equipment. I mean, I don't know, I'd have to ask them.
Okay.
But I don't think with the way, I mean, we're already in the end of July. I don't think we're gonna pull it off before it starts getting cool. So maybe this is something we can think about and get our plans together, start getting sponsors and maybe a springtime and just plan like spring, summer, early fall, 3 times a year we do it and give us time to, and maybe that's a bad venue, maybe there's a better venue, might cost more, but I think at least we have time to plan for it.
And create the document.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So, and then publish it and then,
Mhm.
okay, so we can start, I'll try to do a draft document, like maybe for our next meeting that we can pick through and we'll probably have to get the selectmen's approval of it and kind of stuff too, so.
You could have different levels of sponsorship.
Exactly, yeah,
And they get more, the more they give.
table, just handouts or,
Mhm.
yeah, okay. So the next thing was we had talked about buying a new URL because the link that we've got now is 27 characters long, mix of alphanumeric letters and numbers, and nobody can ever find it in the menu anyway. And it would just be a redirect, so you type that in, it just takes you to the town site, but it's something easy and memorable that we can advertise and stick out there. So I came up with a few. They're all available.
Great.
And so they're usually like I mentioned, it's like $30, $35, $30, $40 for 3 years. So a lot of them it's, yes, that's the cost. They offer more like around like $30 a year and you get all the various extensions on it. So if you wanted, you could buy, not that this is available at Dighton.com, but you get, if you want to buy the package, you get Dighton.net, Dighton.info, Dighton.xyz, Dighton.biz, which other companies do because they don't want knockoffs.
Mhm.
We could just do it just to make it so we're covered, but it'd just be extra money, as opposed to $10 a year buying a 3-year package. It's more like $30 a year.
Does that include hosting, the page? So it's the URL plus web hosting? Or is that just the URL?
It's just the URL.
Okay, so then we would need to get a GoDaddy or something like that, where we can have that website.
Well, we wouldn't have our own website. It's a redirect to URL.
Oh, it's just gonna redirect. You're not gonna have a page and
Right.
then go.
Right.
Got it. Okay.
And the ones I checked were all through GoDaddy. They're the ones selling it, but we would just sell it that way. So these are the ones I came up with. If others have others they want to suggest, we can search for them. But Dighton.biz, so .biz, DightonBusiness.com, DightonDoesBusiness.com, DightonWelcomes.com, DightonWelcomesBusiness.com, come to Dighton.com. Any of those grab anybody? I like Dighton.biz.
Yeah.
Myself.
I like Dighton welcomes.
You could buy more than one. They're very cheap.
I like that. Just
I like more of the Dighton business part, not Dighton welcome, just sounds like more of a
Residential.
hospitality and, you know.
Okay.
Like spelled out info,
Okay.
DightonBusiness.com,
Yeah,
You don't like
which is
that?
one of them.
Yeah.
not anymore.
I think there was
I
also,
don't know
there
if,
was also DightonBiz.com, which is a variation on Dighton.biz. But,
I feel like .coms are better than
well, that's what I was saying. We could, when you could buy them, you could buy like, if you want to buy just .com, you can do that. But if you want to buy the .com, .net, .info, .xyz, .biz, they'll sell it to you that way too. So you're kind of covered, even if people type in the wrong thing or
Mhm.
change your mind down the road about which one they prefer.
Let me ask you, Dan, without a page,
I'm confused by that.
so a redirect just means that when you type in Dighton.biz, it'll go to the Dighton website, the town of Dighton.
Town of Dighton
It just
website.
redirects it.
Okay.
The problem, I think, Dan, is that without a landing page, a web page, you're not going to get any search engine.
I was gonna call GoDaddy and ask them how that works. Can we get stats on how many visitors and that kind of, the problem about an actual landing page is suddenly your price just went way up. Well,
GoDaddy's wicked cheap. I have.
I wasn't thinking so much about that, but we need to have a web administrator. So
But I mean, just to have one page with a whole bunch of like metadata, right? Metadata is the data behind the page that Google will use to like catalog that page. Okay, so if we can have just, it doesn't need to be much at all, but it needs to have a whole bunch of metadata behind it that Google can crawl so that it can index that
okay.
page, so that people can find us, because they won't find us, I don't think, with a redirect.
So I think the Board of Selectmen office, not that I went to the actual board meeting, but a redirect is no brainer, that's fine.
Yeah,
If we actually want our own page, we
Then
need to
that's-
get, the town has to sign off on this.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's, which they can do, we could do.
right? I mean, keep it fairly simple.
I mean, we have both options, and you can, right now, if we like one of these, we can buy the domain name. What we do with it down the road is second choice.
Yeah.
Do we set it up so that it sends it to the town direct page?
Yeah.
Do we set it up so this is its own page and we're gonna now take on the responsibility of managing it? Just buying the domain doesn't, what you do with it afterwards is another choice.
Yeah.
You get to make, so. And I don't know, maybe people aren't ready to pull the trigger right now. I don't know that, Dighton.biz is in high demand and, we gotta buy it right now or it's gonna be gone tomorrow. Probably not, so.
Do you want any help with doing any of that legwork?
Yeah, if we can
Because I
figure
know
out,
you've got a lot on your plate there, right? I mean, so if you want me to do some of this legwork,
yeah, particularly about like, what do we get stats on if it's a redirect only?
yeah,
Can we
yeah,
figure out like, how
absolutely.
many people are there? Can we put in metadata?
Yeah.
I don't know that the towns, because they town uses special software, I don't know that you can put metadata in there.
Right.
So that's
Some work really hard before the.
before he leaves, yeah.
Okay.
Well, he don't forget that he's still gonna be
Yeah,
around
that's
to
right.
help.
Mhm.
That's right.
I'm just gonna have to have him sign it.
And I'm gonna be looking for you to sign a check or something.
Okay, that's all right, that's all right.
All right.
I can sign a fake name.
So we don't have to make a decision on any of those, and people can think about the suggestions or come up with their own suggestions, and meanwhile, we'll just get more information about like how we might choose to implement it, so.
Can you send the list out to us?
Yeah, I can send this, the ones that I've got here, I can
Yeah,
send it.
and we vote next meeting.
Okay, all right.
Don't even have to send it to me because everything that you guys have been talking about, it just flew right over my head, so.
Yeah, well, so I think the thing is, right, even if we do Dighton.biz or Dighton any of those infos or whatever, people are still only gonna find us by doing a Google search. That's,
Mhm.
somebody's not gonna just type in Dighton.biz or something like that. So I think the important thing is we have to make sure that however we do this, we get the benefit of being able to get listed in Google and that sort of thing. So, yeah.
The next item, I did not have this called out on the agenda, but it's been a staple on our previous agendas, which is what are the new businesses that have opened in town since our last update? I think the last update I gave you was in October. So I do have 4 new businesses. Just based upon their address, I think they're all home-based businesses because they're all in residential areas, but Advantage Handyman LLC. I haven't spoken to any of these people, by the way, just getting this from the town clerk. Costa General Services. Jones Wet Plants. And Precision Carpentry. So
Is that precision carpentry?
carpentry, yeah. So good luck to
Wow.
them.
Now, these people registered it?
Yep. Yeah, so they've taken out business certificates through the town clerk. Yeah.
Good.
If I may, before the meeting, I was saying I did a little, ride around town, and I noticed on Central Street that the former Dighton nursing home is now that apartment, going to be, I think, an apartment building. The person has put quite an investment in there. I noticed it looks really good.
Yeah,
I'm
don't
surprised that you-
remember most of the detail. I don't remember all the details about what they were into, but I remember septic was
Just
a
an
big part of it.
investor, he buys property all over the place.
Okay, all right.
And he happened to have purchased that one. Not sure what he paid for that, but he paid pretty good money.
I'm not sure.
And then, well, he's investing into it.
Yeah.
But the ZBA ended up giving him 14 units, 1-bedroom units. So I'm kind of surprised because that's a lot of,
I remember the septic was a big issue. Not so much,
not,
the placement of the septic was a big issue because it interfered with his parking spots, I remember.
yes, that it was, which I think they can actually make parking on top of it if I'm not mistaken, providing that they do it the right way.
Mhm.
Yes.
So,
So I just wanted to mention that. I thought it was a nice investment in town. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been vacant for a while. So it's good.
And refresh my memory, what happened, those 4 businesses, what did they get from the town to say, welcome, we love you?
That's my next point, which is, we had talked about doing a welcome packet. And I've been doing research on, just online, what other towns do, mailings, digital. I actually didn't see anything that other towns are doing that really struck me really well. And then just last month, I got this in the mail from Sullivan Family Dental, which I signed up with now. I'd gone to them for my first cleaning. And I thought, this is perfect. This is simple. It's just a thank you. If we were to do something like that, we could have our contact information in there, but we don't have to load them up with information and goodies and directions. And it's just like a nice, and we're getting like 1 a month. So mailing costs and printing costs would not be horrendous.
Yeah.
But I just thought something like that would be, it'd be a nice touch.
I think that would be a great idea.
With the Dighton biz.
With the Dighton is, yeah, absolutely. So we can think about like what we would want it to say. We can go back for the past several months like these people and send it to them retroactively, but and I know the town has a preferred printer that they like to use. So I'm sure he's gonna ask like exactly what you want it to say, but I think this size is nice, and I will, maybe the town logo on the front in color and that kind of stuff. I can get a ballpark price from him for printing. And then we can decide at the next meeting if we want to do it and vote for the funding if we want it. So,
Great idea.
okay, yeah.
what budget do we have?
We actually have not expended any of our budget, even what we had voted on last meeting for John's reimbursement for Gotham Greens. Because you actually spent it in May, it got covered, it was encumbered and put under last year's budget. So it was those dollars. So this year we got funded for 1,000. We've not utilized any of it yet.
Okay.
So. Let's see. The next one, and this was for Paul, but he's not here tonight. He was going to talk about land use, meaning town property that may be farmable and leasing it out. And because he's on the land use committee to see, what would be potentials, and then maybe work with you and Barbara and see out of the potentials what's actually usable for that purpose. But as I said, he's on vacation, so we can check in with him next time.
My only concern is that building names there that insurance for these properties, is it necessary?
He said we're doing it today, so that would be the template. Yeah, the town's already renting to Arusho's town property, and they're growing butternut squash on it, I think, something like that. Squash, I believe, but so there's a template for what is necessary. I don't know what kind of insurance or other requirements there are for doing it, but
I don't even know. I mean,
Yeah.
that's sort of like getting into the real estate business in a sense. The town,
The town must know how much insurance has to be covered under
the umbrella.
yeah, because then as a farmer, I have to get a certain amount of coverage for
Right.
properties I rent, or even like farmers markets, I have to have a particular amount of
Really?
insurance. And like for
I wouldn't have thought that.
wholesaling, I have to have so much for doing business with the city of Somerville.
Interesting.
You just say Somerville,
Mhm.
you rent property and so
Yeah,
on.
I sell to their,
Oh,
they do mobile farmers markets, so I sell to
okay.
them.
When she's not designing science labs.
Yeah.
That's all I had for the things that we've been talking about, unless there are other things just among our list of items, that we've been talking about. I think one thing we had talked about, and I don't know if you have anything, John, is there anything in the way of technical assistance that the town can offer businesses? Meaning like there are assets that the town has, software assets or other things or technology that inexpensively or even at no charge to the town, we could assist people with. It is something that came up in a previous meeting, and I think you said you might look into it, so
I'm sorry,
That's
that
okay.
totally dropped off my,
that's okay. And there might not be anything, it was just a conversation item that came up, so,
okay. Maybe you're gonna need to refresh. me.
okay. I can drop you an email about what we talked
Please,
about. so,
please do. That would be awesome. And then I will take it and run with it.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Sorry,
Um,
senior moment.
So no correspondence, public input? Yeah.
I sent 2 emails to you all about the webinar that CMAP's having tomorrow about protecting and promoting farmland in your town. I don't know if you looked into it or not.
When did you send that?
A couple weeks ago and this morning. I think this morning, yes.
I gotta go back and look at my
Yeah.
phone. I'm getting hundreds of
And
emails.
it is virtual, right? So
Yeah, it's
I was.
virtual. Yeah, so
I did
it's,
get your second email, or I probably got both of them, but so I was gonna sign up because it's tomorrow evening,
yep.
6:30, so
So
6 PM rather.
the verbiage they have it, Massachusetts is losing farmland faster than we can save it, and towns can play a part in ensuring land remains available for future generations of farmers. Local policies make a big difference in whether farms succeed or fail, and there are many programs and lots of funding available to help protect farmland in your town. This special webinar will share information about farmland protection tools and funding sources for Massachusetts municipalities.
I don't know if you included Mr. Hull in that, but the
Yes.
Open Space Committee, okay, I was gonna say you might
Yeah,
be
I
interested
would-
in attending, so, okay,
And I emailed,
Robbie,
yes.
okay, good.
thank you.
Any other public input?
A couple of things. I heard you mention about, reaching out. And currently, there are no public health programs of any significance in Dighton that could reference the services of the Board of Health for prime time. I do know that Cooperative Productions did reach out to Park and Recreation. So I'm just wondering,
In what capacity?
to provide them with information about,
Okay,
their, program, with their partnership.
yeah.
For, used to be called Special Olympics, that program, availability of facilities to use, the track. So I think Park and Rec in particular right now, because we do, I mean, it's not just Cooperative Productions, it's in Dighton. There are several other agencies that, you know, if we, through our page, EDIC mentioned in their page that these particular government agencies are there to help with community interests in the area of health, in the area of recreation. These are the people you would contact. But I know we had a very nice, Kevin did a very nice presentation here to Cooperative Productions of what services Park and Rec had in Dighton. That, you know, that people could take advantage of, whether it be for staff, the walking track, or some of the, you know, play areas and recreation areas here on campus.
Any other input, public input? Okay. I did not get a chance to do last month's minutes. Rafael will tell you I'm a constant procrastinator. So this tomorrow's kind of eventually evaporated and there was no more tomorrow. So, but I did correct the April minutes, which I think everybody was in agreement with, except I had inadvertently left off Raphael's attendance on those minutes because he had attended via Zoom. So with that correction, would somebody like to make a motion to approve the April meeting minutes as distributed at our last meeting?
So moved.
Well, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, meeting minutes approved, and I will bring the next set of minutes forward to our next meeting. If we stick with our next meeting date, that would bring us to Monday, August 26th at 6 p.m. Does that work for everybody? Fourth Monday of the month?
I won't be attending that.
Okay, all right. Okay. So work for other people? Yeah, okay. And what was I gonna mention just a second ago? Oh, we can talk about it at the next meeting. But my assumption is that in September, they will have the Firecracker Festival. They just haven't announced dates. I haven't seen any notice about it yet. We've participated the last couple of years. It's really not our venue. It's just, you know, it's nobody stops at our booth, you know. It's for other things. It's for kids. It's for, you know, informational things like family stuff. The Historical Commission does a great job, but they make it entertaining for people to stop by and for kids to participate and that kind of thing. So I would recommend we not do it again, even, you know, when it comes up. And I've only mentioned it now because our next meeting is August, and if they're gonna publish it and say it's September, whatever, we wouldn't have a lot of turnaround time, but
Well, the planning would have a table.
they've never had one that I know of, no, yeah,
I was gonna say we combining, but if they're not.
Yeah. no.
I think if other commissions and committees had
One big table or
Yeah, like-
something,
just represented, like, this is what we do in Dayton.
right,
For all the people that
Right.
don't pay attention to what's going on in Dayton, except for the fun stuff.
exactly. Okay. So, if anybody has anything last minute business to bring up? No, otherwise I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
I'll second it.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 6:21. Thank you.
Now,
Aye.